So here are the 4 things that a woman should never ever do for a man. This is something you should never do, and I'm so surprised at how many of us don't actually know the things that we must never ever do for a man. Now, I'm only going to talk about 4 things because these are really important pillars and subject matters that are important for us as women to never ever cross over the line to do that. Because when we do that, when we step over these 4 things and we try to win a man's love by doing these things that I'm going to be talking about in this video, we actually end up turning him away or become victims. And at the end of the day, we're going to say, oh, these men, and we're going to feel like, where are the good men? But actually, a lot of the dynamics that become really toxic in our lives start from how we conduct ourselves, what we allow in the beginning, what we are prepared to give up. And when you're prepared to do these things that we're going to be talking about, and you don't even have a sense on the inside of you that this is not something that I should be doing, then you are going to magnetize men who are going to want you to do these things. And your energy signature and what you're putting out in the world is going to be exactly the very thing that you don't want to happen. So today we're going to be talking about these 4 things, and maybe we can expand and do a few more. And if you're not following me on Instagram, it might be a good place to go, because that's where I give you more tips faster. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Chengi. I'm your dating and relationship expert here at the Black Swan Relationship Academy, where we've helped over 6,000 women attract emotionally available love and heal their wounds. And I'm just here to do exactly the same for you. I want you to understand that attraction comes after healing, and healing in the right way, not just randomly fixing this and fixing that, but really there's a process of healing that allows us to unblock ourselves to attract the kind of love that we crave and absolutely deserve. And so let's get into the video. If you want to learn how to be that woman, keep watching, and don't forget to share, subscribe, like, you know the drill. Do that thing. Okay. Number 1, never ever abandon your needs for a man. It's easier said than done, and self-abandonment is a pattern that we learn even before we become a lover or a friend or an adult. A woman that self-abandons is the one that believes that their needs will always be up for negotiation. Their needs and giving them up is somehow some kind of currency for having love in return. So the more I deny myself of my needs being met in service to your needs, then I am investing my lack of love into filling your cup. And then what eventually happens is that person gets full on the love you keep giving out, on the sacrifices you keep making. And before you know it, you have become a very resentful, very bitter woman who finally does not like men or enjoy their company. I don't want you to be this woman, because you first have to recognize in yourself what are the areas that you're so willing to give away. I remember when I was probably mid-30s, and I had gotten myself ready for a date, put curls in my hair, done all the things. Girls, you know what it is to get ready for a date and to put in all the work. And here I am waiting for this man to come and pick me up so that we could go for a date. I was still so naive. I had no idea what dating was like, how to date in a way that was high value, how to even be feminine. I had no idea. I just thought all I had to be was pretty and present, and men would naturally show up for me in the way that I desired. And so on this day, I'm all dressed and I'm waiting and I'm looking at my clock, because I hadn't read the fact that he had ghosted me a few days and had stopped calling meant that he was a man. That was his way of saying that date is not going to happen. But I hadn't learned the code. I hadn't learned the behavior of men when they're not interested or when they found a better option. So I still believed that he would do what he said he would do. The date was booked for 6. There I am, dressed, looking pretty, and he doesn't come. 6 o'clock comes and he doesn't come. I call him and he doesn't answer. 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and I have literally been ditched. I have been stood up for a date, and I am devastated. I am on my knees and my makeup is I'm crying. I'm a total and absolute mess. And I remember something on the inside of me saying, hey, take your phone and take a picture of yourself right now. So I take out my phone, and I could not believe how horrific I looked. My makeup and my mascara was everywhere. I was just like, and when I saw that broken woman in that phone, I'll never forget the moment I said to myself, I will never, ever love any man more than I love myself. For some reason, that is what God had been trying to get to me. That's what the Holy Spirit had been trying to teach me. The moment you put a man on a pedestal, his emotions, his needs, his desires, whenever they're ranked above your own, not only are you now in your masculine, not only are you now in performance, but you are showing yourself every single day that you are not worthy of love. But then if you start to demand it of him, then it's an illegitimate ask, because one who is worthy of love only accepts love. love. And when I got up off my knees, I put away the bottle of wine that I'd been drinking straight from the bottle and washed my face and went to bed. And I want to leave this with you because it doesn't matter at what stage and at what place you are in life, I promise you. Self-abandoning, denying your needs so that a man's need can be met is what I had been doing. I had got so used to trying to organize my life, inconvenience my life, find a babysitter for my child at the time, try and finish work early so I could take him to the babysitter, to come back, to shower, to do my hair, to do the makeup. I had been running around behind the scenes buying clothes for a date that I couldn't afford but put on a card because I didn't want to not show up and not look good, and all of this investment that I had been putting into going on these dates with these men. And I was exhausted and I was tired, and this was not the first time that I had been stood up. And that is the point that I realized: never put your needs before a man. This comes from a very deep place. It starts not from hating men. This is not about not showing up for a man. This is not about not being emotionally available for a man. This is not about not connecting with a man. There are ways to connect with a man that don't mean that you have to mean nothing, that don't mean that your needs don't matter. And my need for all of these guys was for them to make me feel safe and secure. What I needed was some security. I needed to know that if we have a date, you are going to show up. I needed to know that if we have a date, you are going to reinforce that before the date. I needed to know that if you make a plan, you are not going to abandon me and then I'm going to be left wondering if it's going to happen. I'm not going to step into my naivety and make room and make excuses for you. It starts at a very small level. How much inconveniencing am I going to have to do to meet this man at this time? How much am I going to get out of my way? How much money am I going to spend? How much effort am I going to put at my inconvenience so that I can show up for him as a little dream girl, so that I can show up for him in the way that he wants? If you are putting aside your need for security, if you're putting aside your need for safety, if you're putting aside your need for emotional safety, to feel secure, just so that you look cool, just so that you're a nice girl, just so that you demonstrate that you're an understanding woman and you get it, you get the men are busy, you get a woman who abandons her needs, her need to feel beautiful, her need to feel seen, her need to feel heard, just to make a man feel heard and seen and understood, is a woman that's never going to get that man. What are your needs? What are the needs you are not meeting? Where are you inconveniencing yourself, stressing yourself to please a man? How long will it be, and how long will you take, and how much time are you prepared to invest in making sure that you get nothing and he gets everything? Because men never ever love, value, or respect the women that abandon themselves for them. What that does is just makes him feel like he's that kind of guy who can have a beautiful, kind, sweet woman like you running around after him. Men love a woman who loves herself, who prioritizes herself. It's okay. It's okay. And I know it's hard because you've been looking forward to this date. You've been looking forward to seeing him. You've been talking to him on the apps. You're excited. He's worked you up emotionally. I know it's hard to say, these are my needs, because why? Because we're afraid that if we put a boundary, if we set a standard for a man, he's going to think we're too much, we're unlovable, and he's going to run away. But guess what happens? Why is it the girls that set their standards and have their values and set their boundaries always have men chomping after the bit, chasing after them? Because that's actually not the lived truth of a woman who has boundaries and standards. The lived reality of a woman who puts her needs first, her well-being first, her desires first, is the woman that gets pursued. And when I learned that very important lesson, that my needs matter, that me feeling safe matters, me feeling reinforced, I started to put all of the rules, all of the principles I teach in the dating playbook in the House of Swans. I started to teach and myself, because I didn't have a coach other than the Holy Spirit, and I started to be coached and allow the Holy Spirit to coach me. And I realized, right, if I have standards, if I have values, and guess what happened? I actually never needed to verbalize my standards and my boundaries, because the shift happened internally, and I no longer attracted men that played with my time, that played with my energy, that I would speak to when I'm so busy trying to rush my child to sleep, where I decided I will speak to you when it's convenient for me. I will set a date on a date that's convenient for me. And if you have to wait longer than you would like to, that's okay, because I'm not going to rush my child off to a childminder. I'm not going to go invest my good money into a childminder. I'm going to see you when he's with his dad and I have the weekend off. That's when I'm available. And if I happen to be seeing a few people and you get to have to wait 2 weeks, so be it. And guess what happened, girls? When I started to put my needs, my well-being first, I started to attract men who wanted to put my needs first, who wanted to secure me, who wanted me to feel safe, because that is how it works. So sweetie pie, honey bun, if you're finding it hard to find a man who will put your needs first, who prioritize your needs in a relationship from the gate, despair not. You don't need to worry about that. He will absolutely show up when you choose yourself. The second thing we never want to be for a man is a therapist. Don't get it twisted. Every man wants to be seen. Every man wants to be heard. Every man wants to be understood in a very deep and meaningful way. And the woman that is able to do that, the woman that is able to truly see a man, hear a man, understand a man, is ultimately the one that he builds the strongest emotional connection with. However, when hearing, seeing, understanding a man, and that particular man in front of you becomes him becoming his therapist, coming up with solutions, coming up with comfort, coming up with coddling, coming up with compensation, sweetheart, you stop being the sexy lover that he wants and adores, and you become his mother, the one he needs emotionally but has no sexual attraction. So you say to me, so Chengi, how does it work? How are you able to show a man that you see him, that you know him, that you understand him without mothering him, without being his therapist? You practice active listening to him, saying back to him what he's saying. So are you saying that this is what happened to you? My goodness, that must have been difficult for you. And I'm just so in awe that you've become this incredible man. That is, I see you, I hear you, I heard what you said. I'm going to say it right back to you in my own words. I'm going to pay you a compliment, or I'm going to acknowledge what you went through. I'm going to validate your pain, and then I'm going to let you know that I trust you and I am so in awe of you and I admire you for getting over it. That is the woman that sees him. That is the woman that hears him. That's the woman that he's going to connect with. Versus, I'm so sorry that happened to you. I think you should do this, and I think you should do that, and have you been to therapy, and what therapist have you seen, and this is what happened to me, and you can come to me anytime and talk to me about your problems, and allowing yourself to get drawn into hearing a man's problems, because the moment that happens, you become his mother, but he also starts to take you for granted. You leave the arena of being the loving partner. Now, of course, when the relationship gets more sturdy, when you're married, when you are in a more committed relationship, you have the opportunity to share and to grow and to support him in other more meaningful ways. But in the dating phase, all you have to do is acknowledge, validate, and compliment him where there is a compliment for him being the kind of man that's sitting here with you that you really truly admire for being so strong and overcoming all of those hard and difficult things. The next thing that you should never ever do for a man is give him commitment privileges, boyfriend privileges, husband privileges. They're just some things, and I want to say this to you girls because I know it's out here in the internet. Don't cook for him, don't do his laundry, don't do. And then of course there's the other side of the faction that's saying, well, actually, if you want to stand out from every other girl, maybe you want to do his laundry, maybe you want to cook, because girls don't cook no more and girls don't do laundry no more. So if you really, I was talking to a guy friend of mine and he was like, as a girl, he just wanted to play with her, and anyway, they were intimate. She woke up the next morning, folded his clothes, put them on the bed, and started making breakfast. And he was like, damn, I think I'm going to marry this girl. I think this girl is somebody I should be taking seriously. I listened to him because he was trying to make a point that she was the one that he really wanted to choose. And I asked him, did you choose her in the end? And oh no, because she lived in this country and that story. No, baby, you don't choose those women, because the truth of the matter is, one of the things that men don't always understand about themselves is as follows. What a man really wants in a woman is who she is being. It's her being, her softness, her femininity, her presence, her ears, her eyes, her adoration, her admiration, her softness, her touch, her presence, her smell. Men who are in their masculine energy need that energy around them. And when a man is really engaging emotionally with a woman and really values that woman, you know what he does? He doesn't want her busy in the kitchen. He doesn't want her doing the laundry. He will do it himself. He will cook for her because he wants her presence. And this is where, as women, we need to learn how to be present in our feminine. This is where we need to learn how to be grounded in our feminine in a way that's not hokey pokey, but in a way that is studied and understood. And that's what we teach at the Black Swan Relationship Academy. That's what we teach in our House of Swans. This is what we teach in our other group programs. And if you want to learn more, please follow the description link below and you will find a way to make a call. Last but absolutely not least, never ever ignore amber flags. Whenever something shows up in the dating phase that doesn't make sense, that makes you feel confused, don't try to read between the lines. Don't try to make sense of it. What I want you to do, young lady, sweetie pie, what I want you to do is bring it up in a conversation. And you can do that using How to Talk to Men So They Listen, which is a masterclass I've done for communication with men, but I'm going to break it down for you just real quick on this video. I noticed that you tend to be quite sporadic in your communication with me. Is there anything you'd like to talk about? Is that something you would like to discuss? No, I'm fine. I just get really busy, blah, blah. Okay, so does that mean that you are busy, so as a result, I can expect to hear from you when I hear from you? Yeah, pretty much. Oh, okay. This is where you set a standard. I love that. I love that you're very clear on how you communicate. Unfortunately, I only date men who communicate consistently, who touch base every day. You know, I don't really mind when, but I like to feel like I'm touching base with somebody every 24 hours. I enjoy talking to men that are more consistent in their communication, more predictable in the communication. Whatever kind of communication that you like, you set that standard and say to him, so what do you think? If he's prepared to shift his communication patterns with you, great. We just have to watch and see. If he's defensive, let it go. Because if it's an amber flag, if it's not making sense to you right now and you address it and the feedback you get is that he's not comfortable addressing it, then it's time to let it go. And this is so important that we learn to let it go. Amber flags are there to proceed with caution, stop, investigate. Amber flags say there's still more information I need. Or he might say, yes, I've been particularly sporadic lately because I'm working on a particular project and sometimes it's day and night and I'm not doing my usual routine, but I'll be back on my usual routine and so my communication will change. That's the kind of man that we want to work with. That's somebody that we want to work with, but we're never going to know if we keep our mouths shut and play nice girl and never have and don't communicate and make conclusions. We will always never feel safe if we left that relationship without actually investigating our amber flags, without investigating those parts that didn't work. So I'm really excited. I'm really happy for you, and I'm so prayerful and so hopeful that we will see each other in the House of Swans in one of my groups or on a call, and we will do more work together to really help you get you ready so that you can be the kind of woman that attracts emotionally available, high quality, high status, high worth love. I look forward to seeing you in my next video. In the meantime, do take care of you. Love you lots. Bye.